This is how I build my dual battery Sur-Ron. Because I was not very happy with version 1 of my dual battery Sur-Ron, I've completely redesigned it to compensate for all its flaws. The version 2, I have to admit, it's perfect. I'll say it, I created a perfect Sur-Ron. I might have just inadvertently created a perfect Sur-Ron. The riding position is great. The battery power is amazing. The weight that I added to it, it's actually making it better than worse. It gives me more grip on the rear. Bike is comfortable. This was not a problem whatsoever. I don't know why people keep complaining about it, but it's in line with the dirt bikes these days. Really enjoying this bike. I love the looks. I love everything about it right now. This is the version 1 of the dual battery on the Sur-Ron. So there's the main battery over there, and there is another battery that went under the seat with the other subframe. The clearance is enough for the shock to work, so there's no problem. It fits perfectly, and even if you jump it, it doesn't touch the tire. So it's perfect like this. The only problem is that it raised the bike about 3 inches. So it raised the seat about 3 inches. I had to manufacture one, and I'm not really happy about the ergonomics. So now I'm thinking about version 2. Here's a cardboard cut the same shape as the battery. So I'm thinking in version 2 to keep this battery over here and just put another battery this way. So it has to clear this shock, so I have to put it maybe a little bit higher so it clears that shock. And also I have to make sure that this doesn't touch it. So those are the two things that I have to do. Now, what that gives me the opportunity to lower the seat anywhere I want, because mostly I'm sitting on this side of the seat, and when I'm super aggressive over here, so I could rest on the battery. One thing that would be even better is that if I could get a 90-degree turn on this shock, so if I could turn the shock to face either this way or that way, then I could clear out this much more space on top of the suspension. Beautiful anodized aluminum that is carved, costs money, takes weeks to get, or you can make your own ugly piece that will revert or convert the shock to a sideways shock instead of a forward shock, and it costs nothing. Yeah, this is ugly, but it works. So why did I move the shock out of the way? Well, for this, look how much room there is now for the second battery. So obviously it's going to be a little bit higher, but that's why I moved the shock, because you see, this is where the Sur-Ron made a huge design error. They should have just made it like this. Huge missed opportunity for Sur-Ron. They put that shock that way, so I moved it 90 degrees. So now you could install 2 batteries and still have a seat here in the back. I think this is going to work really, really well. So here's a version 2. The seat is sitting a little bit forward back, but there's not a problem. And this is the battery location. It's interesting to see if it's going to be strong enough to hold everything together. So after a quick decision, I've turned the battery around. So it is not as wide this way, but I don't want to make it removable. So this is not going to be like the same mistake as the version 1, where I was able to pull it out and put it back in. I'm never going to take it out. There is no reason. If I'm going to take it out, I'm going to take it out with the entire rack, and I'm going to put the old rack in there. So this battery is going to be fixed into that rack, and is going to be held together by these bolts, and problem solved. There is really no reason to take it off. I have a little nice dent over here, so it could fit the seat properly, and I think it's going to be quite good. So this is the frame that I have right now. It's going to be a mounting point for the rear of the seat, the mounting point for the front of the seat, and I might have to reinforce it again over here, but I'm not sure if I will or not. I already reinforced it over here. I have to clean up the welds. I have a really shitty welder, but it does the job. So this is version 2 of the rear rack for the battery holder. It looks a lot better, and it fits the stock seat, which is very, very important. I painted it red just for the hell of it. It's the only paint that I had in the garage. So big changes on this version. The battery is kind of like in a fixed position. So what I do is, instead of having the battery slide in and out, I'm just going to put the battery in here and then mount it on the bike with the battery on it. I never take the battery out, and it's going to hold it a lot snuggier that way. It's going to be in a much better position, so it's not going to wobble around. Then you don't have to over-engineer it for certain things to be able to pull it out, put it back in, and all that stuff. One thing that I've done to this project is I've skinny it. So I went the skinny side and I'm not sure if I reinforced it enough. So I have a couple of good welds on it, but I hope it's going to be strong enough to be able to not break apart. Obviously, it's going to put a little bit of a stress on the mounts, on the motor, on the frame, but also fat people ride these bikes, and I'm not that fat. I'm 170 pounds. So hopefully, with a 25-pound battery, I'm still under 200 or around 200. So that's good. This is how it looks like mounted. It's rock solid, so it doesn't move. It's just very, very snug in here. And also when these bolts will be applied on the frame, we'll also squeeze it a little bit more. So first installation. Based on my calculation, it should fit in here. Remains to be seen. So this version 2 is a lot better. It looks, I think I took the ugliness out of it. This looks actually quite sexy. I'm liking it. I'm really liking it. Yeah, I think it's a lot more sexier now. I have 18 miles today, maximum speed 50, and the battery is at 62%. This is the first light disappear off of it. This is amazing. This dual setup, so much more fun. And I think these tires also offer less rolling resistance. So these trials tires are just so nice. I lost a little bit of a grip in the turns, but it's still good enough for what this bike can handle. So I am very happy with these tires, and also because they're so fat, they give you a little bit more cushioning on the hitting stuff. The tires, the wheels feel bigger, so I have 4 kilowatts of power at my disposal. I'm sport mode all day long. This is just how this Sur-Ron should have been built. If they would have built it like this, it would have been an amazing bike. It was always leaving me with a bad taste in my mouth after like 15 miles. I was running out of power. 17 miles, I was done. And now with the 2 batteries, it seems that it's distributing the load a lot better, so they drain a lot slower. I think I could do more miles on them. And I had that limp mode at the end, you know, after you pass the 11%, which gives me a lot more, how can I say, gives me a lot, like another like 10 miles on limp mode. So the less 10%, less 10 miles, because it's into a limp mode where you could only go like 15 miles an hour. So it's extremely efficient. So if you're far from home, the 2 batteries together are getting drained at such a low level that they just are able to put out that juice for a very, very long time. It rised a little bit, so it got a little bit higher since I put these fatter tires and I changed the shock and installed the battery. It got higher in the back, so I have a lot more clearance that I didn't have before. But still I have to watch the pedals for like very, very gnarly stuff, just so things don't get out of control. The second battery on it did not impede the way that the bike feels. It doesn't feel heavier. It doesn't feel like worse on the trail, except when I put it on the hitch of the car. When I lift it over there, I could feel the extra 25 pounds. But here on these cliffhangers, the bike is just performing as well as anywhere. So I'm very confident that this is gonna do very well in Moab. We're gonna have so much fun in this bike. And then look, I could hit those rocks with no problem, those ledges. Yeah, I've totally changed this bike. The grips are fatter, I could grab it better. So that's nice. The brakes are, I bled the brakes, so they're spot on. I put some cheap pads on the brakes, but they're grippy as hell. They wear out fast though. They're grippy as hell, so I got really good brakes. A little bit squeaky, but really good. See here, it's one of those places where I want to protect my pedals, so I'm just gonna take it easy. But yeah, I am 100% satisfied with my $4,000 investment. This bike cost me $4 grand. I'm still under what I paid for the other Sur-Ron, and this is just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I'm loving this thing. In this format is just how the Sur-Ron should have built it initially. I think they missed the opportunity of figuring out how to put the battery under the seat. They just missed a huge opportunity over there to just sell you another battery. They should have just hold the production line a little bit, and then it would have been the perfect bike. See, I hit the pedals over there. But it's just the nature of the beast. It's a low bike. Even with a dirt bike, you hit the pegs all the time. Even with a dirt bike, you hit the pegs all the time. But yeah, I'm loving the tires. I'm getting used to their grip, because they grip a little bit different than the other tires that I had before. So I gotta give them a little bit more space on the brakes. And on the dusty stuff, they don't really grip as well. But for everything else, that rolling noise is gone. It had like this weird rolling noise that is gone. So you have this like feel. They feel very round and plush and fat when you jump on them. They feel like they have mass to absorb. And for riding heavy stuff like this, I don't want a light tire. I want a tire that can take the beating. And this tire can take the beating. I'm still locking the rear a little bit because of the lack of grip, but that's just a matter of getting used to it. But they will wear out better, slower, and I'm totally enjoying these tires. So yeah, this is an amazing bike now. Very, very nice bike. Yeah, this is just a delight to ride. Especially because I keep it in sport mode all the time. I don't have to worry about battery. Just so nice. And I think adding that battery in the back of the bike stabilized the back, added a little bit more weight to it. Even when it jumps a lot more balanced. Like it doesn't, before it had the tendency to just drop the front. So you always landed on the front, where right now I actually have to be careful not to land on the rear too much. But the shock can take it. The rear shock so far didn't complain very much. So that is good. Yeah, this is, even hitting rocks and stuff like that with it is just a pleasure. Like I just plow through stuff again. And I remember I had an actual Sur-Ron before with a fast Ace suspension, and it was just too plush. And this, when I got this Segway with a D&M, it felt a little bit too hard. But now I'm understanding why. Because with these tires, it's just a tank. I built a tank. I really built a tank. It's nothing but smiles.